This is Comic Geek Speak, Infinite Crisis Special, Episode 6. Welcome to Comic Geek Speak. I'm Brian Deemer.
I'm Matt.
I'm Jamie D.
I'm Peter Reis.
And welcome to our 6th episode of the special Infinite Crisis analysis.
This is going to be all spoiler, so if you haven't read issue 6, first of all, you should, and second of all, don't listen to the episode if you don't want to be spoiled. We all came in with the Perez cover?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. Did you see the Jim Lee cover?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you like it?
It's pretty good, I think.
Yeah. I like this one because it just feels more crisisy.
well
Yeah, I knew you.
I have all the rest of Perez, so.
It also kind of it kind of connects to the Power Girl number 2, where she's like looking at all the different fragments of different scenes and stuff. It kind of reminded me like this was like he's got this little storytelling thing going on with each cover, you know, like not that it's probably all me. It's I don't know if he did or didn't, but kind of reminded me of that. Initial thoughts?
Well, the first thing that went through my mind as I was reading the first couple pages was I felt like reading the first issue of Blue Beetle before this was kind of like spoiling this. And I was like, oh, you know, I kind of wish I had waited. Of course I didn't, because Blue Beetle came out before this, so one would assume it's safe to read. But personally, at my level of what I consider a spoiler and what I don't like, you know, I think I felt slightly spoiled.
Especially because this was delayed. This should have came out earlier than it did. Only because the other book, what was it, 5, I guess, was the one that was really delayed and pushed everything else back.
Well, I have to say, one of my thoughts on this issue and the next one is my enthusiasm for him has greatly reduced since 1 year later came out, because you don't know exactly what happened, but you get a basic idea of what, you know, who lives, it kind of gets. Before that came out, you had no idea what could possibly happen, but now with those issues that had come out, you can get a sort of idea of where this is going to take you to, or at least where the players are going to come out of it.
There's still some questions, though, that are unanswered that I'm waiting for. So
Yeah.
It's not totally 100%, but again, I wonder if they were just on time, if they wouldn't. And I'd really love to know, what was the problem. Was it... I don't think it was Infinite Crisis. I think it was all those other issues from, like, Teen Titans was really late, and some of those things that were supposed to go in the middle of these. It's like, damn, why did they try? You know, that. I guess that's one of the drawbacks of just this huge event. Fortunately, it wasn't like every issue. It really was only just a few. But I haven't read as many of those 1 year later, so purposely keeping away from them just in case.
Just waiting until this is over.
Yeah.
Because I want to borrow half of those when you're done. I did read the first 2 Batman issues, of Detective and Batman.
Oh, right. But there's still stuff that, you know, I'm waiting. They have a lot to wrap up in 7, so
and
look forward to it.
Unfortunately, that's what I'm becoming a little leery of. I just don't think they're going to be able to do it. I think 7's going to come and go, and you're still going to have a lot of questions left unanswered. Whether or not they did that on purpose to suck you into reading 52, I don't know. But I'm just, as I'm reading this, I'm going, they're, again, spending a lot of time doing stuff and yet not answering a lot of questions about stuff. And you know, whether or not they just cram it all into 7 and go, here it is, or they give you a certain amount of answers and then 52 will finish it up. I don't know.
Well, from my understanding, in Wizard, they're going to have Infinite +1, which is supposed to take up after this.
Infinite again and again and again. Well, it is infinite, so it just keeps going.
I think the wrap up of 7. I think we're going to get it, because for me it's still the even this issue still, and it's made it's kind of all wraps up in that last panel, the last page, is that there they are again, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman. Like, for me, I know that there's this. If you look at the previews for next issue, they say that there's a battle with Superboy Prime again. It's like my thing is still about Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman, and I want to see where they come out of this whole thing, because they've all taken these steps to better themselves throughout this book. That there's this huge crisis going on, and yet still for me, it's about the three of them. Like I think you know what you're saying is absolutely right, Jamie. There are going to be leftover things that they're going to deal with, like in other books, but as far as for me the theme of this whole series, I think they're going to nail it. I think they're going to get it by the last issue with those three characters.
I hope so. I don't have quite the faith you do, but
and then they can go away for a year,
and then they'll go away. And I'm interested to see. Yeah, not like I wasn't going to get 52 anyway, so
Yeah,
it's
that's
certainly
what I
not
mean.
a selling point.
Who are they trying to push 52 on? Any comics fan worth their weight is going to be clamoring for a 1 year series. I mean, that's the coolest freaking thing I ever heard of.
Yeah.
I just wish it was happening in the Marvel universe.
Anything that really stood out? Favorite scenes or anything for anybody? What was that laugh for?
Because I know where we're gonna what we're gonna.
Yeah, I know. I'm just waiting for him to bring it up.
no, I'm letting you guys bring it up. That's for me. I mean, I don't know. Favorite scenes. Kind of enjoyed seeing all the guys coming off the tower, and actually doing something. The Lady Quark and all them kind of getting into the fight. A good death scene. I thought Connor died, nobly. He died for fighting the good fight, and unfortunately, I also then picked up Titans 1 year later, and it kind of. Cause I looked at this, I went, good. They ended a character. Okay, he died nobly. He died fighting the good fight. As far as I'm concerned, he's a character who has run his course. I don't think there's a lot of stuff you can really do with him.
They want to clear the Superman plate.
Yeah, and I thought, great, let it go. If they eventually bring him back in 5 or 10 years, okay, but let this be the Barry Allen death for this crisis. Let this be the death that remains permanent. And here I pick up Titans, and the end of Titans. It's a spoiler. So at the end of Titans,
Well, not about Titans.
There's something there that it's just like, Christ, they can't let it go.
Yeah. I'm not convinced that's going to go all the way, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's he's trying, but.
Well, one thing somebody brought up, I read somewhere on a site about the whole Superboy thing, getting rid of Superboy, is that the Salkins might have rights to the Superboy, or maybe it's Siegel, or there's obvious creator rights still going on with Siegel's family and Schuster's family, and Superboy is one of those that they're arguing about, and that's why DC has yet to put out a Superboy archive and things like that. I'm pretty sure this is all. So I'm wondering if all this is wrapped up in this, and maybe that's why they're. I don't know. That's just maybe that's too conspiracy theorist or whatever. I don't know. I agree. I thought the death scene was. I saw it coming. For those people who said no, Connor's going to survive. It's like no way, no. I thought it was just so well done and very powerful in its emotion and the way they did it. And I like that they didn't. It wasn't this long drawn out fight. It really was like urgent. He's got to do what he's got to do. It's almost an accident that he saves the world, all that with the flying into the tower, almost. And then that's it. It's like that's how death is sometimes. It is that quick and sudden. And
you knew he was going to die if you read the Teen Titans annual.
Yeah, that's why I felt the way they gave.
Just because it's like a horror movie. You want to be a virgin.
Oh, jeez.
So that ruins that for me. I don't have to read that now.
Yeah, that one minute aspect.
But it's Cassie. I mean, Cassie seems.
I'll bring out what the big thing is. The image of Earth. What is that? O that has Bizarro choking Bizarro Lois. Unbelievable.
Yes, the violence.
For me, it's. Oh, go ahead.
No, just because that's their way of hugging.
I love seeing all the other Earths, bringing back the different multiverse stuff, and some of it is stuff that you recognize if you're fans of other comics, like the Tangent universe.
That was the cool one.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Which is Earth 97. The Earth 240, I'm looking at the double page, that's sort of a double page spread. It's like, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, 5, 6, 5, 5th and 6th page. On Earth 247, that's the Legion before this Mark Waid Legion. And because they said somewhere that the Mark Waid Legion is actually now the real Legion, the post-Infinite Crisis Legion, but it was nice to see them again. This is the 0 Hour Legion, post-Zero Hours Legion. The Earth 462 is interesting because it's the Deborah Winger Wonder Girl and the Kathy Lee Crosby Wonder Woman from the ABC movies, right? Aren't those the costumes that they wore? I know the Robin is different. There's like a Robin down. They look like a World War II unit because there's Per Degaton or whatever, and Baron Blitzkrieg and
yeah, I thought that's
like
all
there's
it
the
was.
Flash,
I
too.
didn't even really, I didn't even really put that into it.
You see the Flash with the helmet?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's well, maybe it's, I don't know, but that looks like the Kathy Lee Crosby Wonder Woman from that one pilot they tried to do.
It does look like the Deborah Winger Wonder Girl
Doesn't
outfit.
it? Yeah. So I'm wondering if that's what that was.
I just thought that was Liberty Bell down there. That's what I took that as being, but I could be wrong too because it doesn't look like she has a Liberty Bell insignia on her belt.
Now, do you think Alex is gone?
I don't know. Because it seems too easy.
Yeah, it kind of just seems, and I don't always agree with these things as demonstrated by the whole confrontation between Batman and Nightwing bit from before, but it just says the showdown with Superboy Prime. It doesn't mention anything about Alex, so that's why I'm like, did he just die in the collapse or?
Yeah, I don't know. It seemed way too easy. I mean, the saving of the multiverses and the different Earths and creating the new Earth, that was fine. I would totally got that, but it was like, you know Superboy Prime of Earth Prime is coming back, but Alexander Luthor, and I don't mean that as a criticism to the storytelling. I'm just wondering if he will show up sometime in the next issue or in the Villains United issue.
I'm just kind of curious to see, what exactly is New Earth? What are the rules for New Earth? Who's on New Earth? What does anybody? Do they know about everyone else on New Earth? Or the heroes feel like they belong to their old world again, and now they're stuck on this new one and they're confused? Or are they, it's...
Does anybody know? That's kind of like at the end of Crisis, where only...
That's what I mean. Like, do they... Is it a mystery to them, or do they remember what was happened, 3 issues ago? Or
I hope they remember. I hope they remember, because it's...
Is that all part of the story? You have to remember?
Well, not only... because...
I would think they would have to, because... Yeah. I mean, first of all, where is the tower? Because the tower was on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
It was like...
the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah, I thought it was the old Fortress of Solitude. So, right there at the last 2 pages, you have, Batman, Wonder Woman, Superman, both Supermans, and Wonder Girl. And, they're remembering. They know... It's not like Nightwing, I'm sorry. It's not like they're saying, what happened, how did we get here?
Mm-hmm.
They know what Connor did. They know what he sacrificed to do this. They know why they are there. So it's not going to be one of those where, we're here and we don't remember anything.
Well, I think the big difference from the original Crisis would be, as a result of the ending, everything restarted, the whole Big Bang Theory, whereas in this it was a bunch of different Earths and they all just came together. It's not like
it was one
time
Earth
just restarted.
That then there was multiple Earths, now back to one Earth again. I think the changes will come in, again, if we're going with what Dan Didio, his editorial edict is the whole thing about restoring these characters back to their basic origins and ways of describing them. Because if you can just say Wonder Woman is an Amazon from Paradise Island who comes to man's world to right the wrongs of whatever, that's enough. Superman is a baby that went into a rocket ship and his planet exploded, blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like, very, very basic origins. So, clearing out Superboy and killing off the Starfire from earlier in the issue. That is the she's actually the second Sapphire or third or whatever. But we know Star Sapphire. If you're a fan of Green Lantern, you know that that's Carol Ferris, Hal Jordan's girlfriend. Usually in the Silver Age, she's like that. She gets turned into this Star Sapphire character. So now they threw in this other woman in this issue. She's this other woman. Her name's like Deborah Camille something or other, who's from the old Secret Society of Supervillains. So they created another, so
Secret Society Supervillains.
So again, it's a way of like cleaning house, getting it all down to just one version of these characters, so it's not confusing. So my thing is, I think, especially if you look at that panel where where New Earth comes together, the interesting thing to me is the on the right hand side, the Justice League of America, where they all look like trees. They're all turning into trees there, and Wonder Woman's there. And there is an original story with the Justice League. That is one of the original stories with the Justice League where they get turned into trees or whatever. And if you're reading your showcases, it's the 7 main Justice League characters are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Green Lantern, Flash, Martian, and Manhunter. After the Crisis, when they rebooted Wonder Woman's origin, her first appearance in the DC Universe takes place during Legends, which is like, the Justice League's already formed by then. So then they made Justice League, the original Justice League members, Flash, Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Black Canary. Took out Superman, Batman completely, traded Black Canary for Wonder Woman. Now it still looks like it's down to 5 again, but Wonder Woman's back there again. So I'm wondering, is that just an homage? Is it just, something they want to throw in there? Or are they going to restore her back again into the Justice League? Or are they going to restore her timeline, push it back farther again? Same thing with why show Welcome to Smallville and there's a picture of Superboy there with Krypto. It's like, oh, are they giving our Superman back his days as Superboy now? So it's kind of interesting. I don't know if those panels are just red herrings or just design things, or are they really going to become story elements?
They have the Joe Chill and the Batman origin, right, because 0 Hour kind of left it up in the open of whether or not Joe Chill really killed his parents. So are they going to restore that again?
Yep, because it was a way. I forget who that was that did that, but they made it so that they thought it was stupid that Batman would know who the killer is because he would just go after the killer, and if he avenged his parents, well then why be Batman anymore? So they, like you said, they made it open-ended. But now are they going to restore that back again? So it's kind of interesting. Makes you wonder. So it seems like New Earth is more about correcting as opposed
glitches.
To... Yeah, as opposed to, now all of a sudden they're going to like reboot Superman again or anything. I hope they obviously aren't doing that. And I wouldn't want that because that'd be... We don't need 1986 again. As great as it was, we don't need
It's already too confusing.
Yeah.
It's just going to get even more confusing still. I mean, whatever they do to clean it up, it's going to be another level of complexity that
unless they
try to memorize.
Unless they bring it back, like I said, to a very easy understanding of who these people are.
Yeah, but what happened to all the history, though? That's always the question.
It corrected itself. Because remember how, like, they say Superboy of Earth Prime, when he was punching, he's the one that was causing all those ripples and through time. And
I don't think you read that yet. Is it not in the secret files?
No, you read Batman, the Batman Annual? 25?
No, not yet.
Okay. Well, actually, they did touch upon it on this, though, in the other issue. The way the Earth and this isn't giving it away, but the way the Earth transpired from Crisis to now was still not perfect. There were leftovers, you could say, of like that original Crisis. So I'm thinking this will finally, hopefully, correct everything. And we won't have another friggin' Crisis. We won't have another 0 Hour. We don't need it. That's it. Done.
Well, let me ask you, do you think the people on the last panel, or last page, there's specific reasons why those people are there? I mean, obviously, because Hal Jordan brought Batman to the fortress, so why isn't he in the last scene? So I'm kind of wondering...
Because I think this story's about them. I've
but
you
have Nightwing still in the scene.
Does that mean Nightwing's going to be Robin?
Actually, let me read this thing that somebody posted on the forum, because this kind of touches on this, and I thought it was pretty good. They said, this is from Beast Bone. He's from New York City. He's a fairly new member on the forum. He says, "What really hammered this one home for me was seeing the little three. That is Cassie, Dick, and Connor." He's talking about the last page there. Or leading up to the last page, storming the tower on their own. Suddenly, for me at least, I started to see the scope and emotional breadth of the entire series. We start in the ruins of the Justice League's watchtower with Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, in a scene that actively highlights all three characters' recent plunge into darkness. Batman makes a snide remark about Superman's death, which was the hyperbolic zenith of modern event-based superhero comics. Whew. This is Infinite Crisis thesis statement. The series will address the fallout of the death of Superman, not necessarily the actual events that occurred after, but the thematic fallout. Hence, it is natural that this becomes Connor's story as a character created in the wake of Superman's death. He is an appropriate advocate for this strange time in comic history. That it is Dick here instead of Tim is also important. Tim would have been an easy and fitting companion since he is Connor's best friend, and a character that emerged around the same time. However, Dick and Connor have little relationship prior to this joint endeavor. There was a certain amount of respect, i.e. Dick seems to have studied Connor's abilities, and contempt, i.e. Connor's "what's so great about this guy" attitude at first, between them that they must put aside to get the job done. Does this sound familiar? So here the second generation steps up where the first has, thematically at least, strayed. Each character mirrors his or her own predecessor. He says he doesn't know much about Cassie, that's why he doesn't have anything here. To stay true to its own form, the climax of this series could only have been the death of Connor Kent, a fitting bookend to the ridiculous event that spawned him. Connor's life and development will stand as a strong portrait of the crazy years between the deaths of two Supermen. And you know that is, when you read interviews, you know they always say they're trying to get, even though this series is brutal and violent and whatever, they're trying to get back to what makes superheroes. And from the few year later reads that I've been reading, I can say that they are, it's getting there. It's not so dramatic of a change that it's like all of a sudden we're back in the Silver Age again or anything like that, or even in 80s comics. But it's refreshing to read comic stories that are just comic stories again.
Definitely, if you read the Teen Titans, I forget what issue it is, right before the 1 year later story, you really get an idea of how Connor and Dick...
of what he was talking about there.
Yeah. Which is basically just, if you're interested in getting the backstory of how they got from Titan's Tower to the Fortress of Solitude, that's basically all it is, but it does kind of give you an idea of how, I don't want to say their relationship, but just how they kind of come to know each other.
I'll be interested to see if in 7 they continue from this scene. I guess if this was before this whole Infinite Crisis series, Batman would probably be like, "See, this is your fault, Superman, da-da-da-da." Wonder Woman would be like, "Well, no, she died a warrior's death." Superman would be like, "How?" There would be conflict, but I wonder if we do see the outcome of the scene, which I'm not sure we will, they probably will be, they won't be as confrontational with each other because they've all grown throughout this series, It's a tragic death, but I don't think they're going to blame each other for it. If anything, Superman of Earth 2 is probably the one that's going to have a lot of guilt about this, so it's going to be interesting to see where he goes in 7.
Well, is interesting to me is what are they doing with him? I can see the big three and then Nightwing, because if Nightwing becomes Robin again, I'm just saying, I don't know. But if that was the case, then you have the big 3/4, because Batman and Robin have been together for a long time. But what the hell is the other Superman doing there, and what are they going to do with him, and what's going to happen there? Are there going to be 2 Supermen, or what's going to happen?
No, if I had to guess at anything, it's going to be the showdown will be between Superboy and Superman
of Earth 2.
Of Earth 2. And
that's where
they'll kill each other, and then we don't have to worry about it.
That's what's going to happen. They'll both beat the hell out of each other, and he'll make the ultimate sacrifice and die, or maybe even finally Superboy will realize what's happening, somebody's controlling him, and and just regret what he did and stop something, or I don't know. But I think if anything, it's going to be Superman of Earth 2 sacrificing himself to stop what actually he will feel that he has wrought onto this world by coming out thinking he had to fix it, realizing now that really wasn't that broken and that he was duped, and he'll see it as his duty to go back and fix it.
Well, they are in the old fortress, so maybe they'll be banished to the Phantom Zone. Maybe he'll take them in there.
Ooh.
The dupe. You saw where in here? Where was it? Yeah, or maybe it wasn't.
Well, I figured it was from the very beginning.
I thought you saw like Zod and, or I may be confusing.
It's in the new Earth page. See, and what led the other theory I thought is, will they?
Right there, Zod and Ursa, and
will they merge somehow the Earth 2 Superman and the Earth 1 Superman?
Well, that's what I was wondering. Is he going to be
Frenchie
some kind
from
of amalgamation of the two?
And the reason, and then I thought, well, why would they do that? And I said, well, one or two things. Will they actually? I don't know how they could do this, but one of the things some people criticized about the Superman reboot in '86 was it's weird to think of the DC universe not starting with Superman as the first superhero. You know what I mean? Like, because there's the Earth 2 characters all moved to World War II. So, not that that's like anything to do with continuity. It's just, Superman was the first superhero in 1938. So, they thought that kind of... But realistically, there's no way you can reboot Superman and make him current and still make him the first superhero. There's just no way. The DC universe has too much history. So, it's that to me is just kind of like... It's not really an argument or a debate. It's just...
You got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, if you want this character to be relevant to the times, you have to do away with that. But the other thing it could do, if you merge the two, is it could give him back a lot of the things that make Superman and the Superman family what it is. They already brought back Supergirl. So, and we've had all these random versions of Zod, from the Brian Azzarello story to Jeff Loeb's origin to Byrne's origin, when Byrne brought them back. And so it's like, okay, well, if they merge, will we get the one consistent...
You mean like they did with Hawkman years ago?
Sort of. And because these are the classic Phantom Zone villain designs, from the Silver Age.
Yeah.
So it would be kind of interesting if it would all come back again. And
now,
but I don't know. It's just,
I really don't want to see them merge together. I mean, if anything, if he's not going to, make the noble sacrifice, I'd almost like to see them keep him and put him in like the Justice Society, so that like the Justice, because they just did, and not to give away, I just read the Justice Society one right before the 1 year later, where it was a Gentleman Ghost story. Ma Hunkel got the Power Girl comes back with Lois's notepad notes, basically her reporter's notes in shorthand. She can't read them, but Ma Hunkel, who is the original Red Tornado, can read them, and she reads them and she remembers stuff about it. And while we were sitting here thinking about what are they going to do with him, I thought, wouldn't that be interesting to put him into? I mean, he wouldn't have to have a civilian identity. He would just be, Superman with the Justice Society, and it would be an interesting, thing to just put him with all those older characters, he and Jake Garrick and Alan Scott and all those guys together again. Ted Grant. I think it would make for some interesting stories if they would do it, if they just keep him. So maybe that would be a way to go, rather than, to me, almost the obvious of the sacrifice to end the crisis, the current crisis.
The only other theory I thought about was is if they made him the new Spectre host. I know they have this character here, but I could have sworn I read somewhere that it wasn't a permanent thing.
Yeah, I've heard that.
And the Spectre is a Jerry Siegel co-creation, I think. I think it's so. Jerry Siegel.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they could do it in a way that if you read the new Spectre, they would make no reference that he was Superman. They wouldn't change the symbol on his chest to be like when Green Lantern was Spectre.
Yeah.
Jordan.
They made it look like Green Lantern. Like, just... I'm not saying that's what I don't know, but
it would be interesting because it would be
it'll at least keep him around, you know.
Plus, it would be a more interesting take, because where Jim Corrigan was a moral character done wrong, just the high morals that the Superman Universe 2 seems to have would be interesting to see him, and then having to met out God's justice as what this Spectre has come to mean would be interesting. It would be interesting to see what kind of moral dilemmas he would get into. Would he be able to do what he had to do? Would he be able to take the role of God's justice and do it?
And he certainly has a lot to atone for. I mean, in this series alone, he's done
I was going to say
yeah.
for some of the deaths from what he has wrought, as we said.
One thing that I wanted to comment on, and I know that Dan DiDio said this, before this all started, and it's not a surprise to me, but it's still kind of disappointing in a way, is that we're putting all the focus on the big three, and I kind of don't like that, because the more that I'm reading DC, the more I'm really realizing that the universe is filled with these great characters that if a great creative team came on them, they could be just as cool as any of the big three. And I think that's maybe, I was trying to think, like, geez, does Marvel have the big three? And it's like, Marvel has, like, the big 25, the X-Men and the Avengers and the Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. And it's like, where do you even stop? It's like, yeah, Spider-Man is arguably the biggest one. But, you don't just have the big one. It's like, well, where do you draw the line then if you're, like, in Marvel, if you're trying to decide who are the biggest? It's hard to stop where you just keep going. There's so many. But DC always seems to have this focus on these three, and it's like, well, then to me, you lose focus on all these other great characters that, again, if somebody just decided to put them into the spotlight, they could be really important. Now, granted, they haven't had solo series for 60 years, but, I don't know. It's just like I kind of feel like I don't want focus on the big three. I want focus on all these great characters who haven't had 60 billion stories told about them, And so it's kind of a little disappointing. I mean, I like that they might be taking them back to a slightly simpler time and making things straightforward and a little more fun and less brooding and dark. That's appealing to me. But I want to focus on all these other... Like, I'm excited about all these new series that are coming out. Shadow Pact and all this... and this...
Blue Beetle.
Secret Six?
No. The Checkmate thing,
Checkmate.
And all this stuff is like, this is really cool stuff for me. I don't really care about these three. I mean, the Batman 1 year later was interesting because I think Batman is the most interesting of the big three. But everything else, I really don't care. Wonder Woman, I really could not care. I could not care less about Wonder Woman. I don't know. It's just
bang her and get it over with.
Because she's a very unappealing character to me. And Superman is fairly one-dimensional.
Was that your heart dropping?
No,
Oh.
that was my head hitting something when he was the
right,
banger and get it over with.
But anyway, so
I think you'll get that. Well, no, I know you'll get that from 52, because that's exactly what the basic story of that is the DC universe without the big three.
okay.
So you'll get that.
That's good.
Yep.
That's what I want.
And I think they knew that. I think they were very smart about that to do that.
Yeah, well, you kind of see that with like the sword and the cowl and the cape, and like they've all decided just to go away.
So far, I'm still waiting. Maybe it's Connor, but didn't feel the same way to me. But the big Barry Allen type death in this crisis, I don't think, unless maybe it's in 7. But walking away from it so far, I don't feel as though a lot of people died, but that you really got that big Barry Allen type feel when he died from anybody's death yet.
Well, I got that from Connor.
Connor?
For me, it was
a little bit from Connor. Yeah, that, and also felt Wally's sacrifice too.
Oh God, yeah.
Well,
It was so great.
Well, it was that until knowing that they're going to be picking up the series later. I mean, it could not be Wally, but it's just I guess previews is kind of just screwing it up because there's going to be a new series coming out later.
Yeah.
But so maybe back in the day, that's why it intensified Barry's death. But
yeah, but you don't know. I know there's going to be a series, but I don't know. Is this going to be Bart? Is this going to be
Jay, Barry?
Jay?
Wally?
Well, Jay is back. Jay is there.
Yeah,
but is it going to be Wally? Will it be Barry? Will Barry have been able to come back somehow now that all the worlds have been taken apart and put back together again? Will
it be Bob Hintershitz?
Yes, I was going to say, you never know. Will be some new unnamed speedster that we don't know. Will it be his kids? Will
it be Dick Gazinia?
Because don't they kind of make mention that when they ask Superboy what happened?
He said he was there for years.
They took him to the future and they kept him locked up for years, or he
said he was under a red
sun
sun for years.
Yeah, he kept trying to escape. So you just don't know. I mean, and to me, I agree. It doesn't lead as much of a finite death as Barry's death was, but it's still it's not enough to take anything away from the sacrifice that I thought Wally made.
Well, now with Jay being back before the other speedsters, his speed is no longer connected with the Speed Force.
Well, there is no Speed Force yet that you know of. They haven't really discussed,
right?
Because he said he can't tap into it anymore. He said he doesn't feel it.
They now just exercise a lot so they can run pretty quickly. That's
well, the other thing too about the original Crisis was it was so very obvious who was evil and who was good. The black, it was here's the bad guy and here's the good guy, and Supergirl's death and Flash's death were so heroic because of it. And in this one, it's all about misunderstandings and
oops, I didn't
shades
rip your head off.
Yeah, and shades of gray, and so Connor's death, while it did save the world, is almost more tragic as opposed to heroic. Where Barry Allen was that was such a heroic death. This one is so tragic because of the circumstances. So
yeah, because truthfully, 2 times he's fought the guy. And
got his ass handed,
and two times he's got his ass handed, and the second time there wasn't enough to save him.
Right.
But he still, but in his sacrifice, he still stopped the tower. He still, brought the Earth back together. So
maybe I I never really read any of the Barry Allen issues, but maybe it's just because Connor's never took me to that level that Barry did of being the hero. That
you're right. I mean, this isn't like Bruce Wayne died. This isn't like
Green Arrow.
Diana is no more and will be no more. You're right, or Hal Jordan suddenly got killed, in a way that they're not going to bring him back.
He was if they needed to get rid of a character, he was certainly one that's very easy to get rid of.
Oh, sure, because now they have so many others. I mean, Ion, they have a new character in Ion. They have enough Green Lanterns back that they don't.
It'd be sad to see, like Tim Drake. There's no way they could kill off Tim Drake. He's just far too important of a character now. And Cassie could potentially be, I mean, obviously she's not, but she could be a potential sacrifice. I mean, there's not much to hold her character to Wonder Woman and things like that, other than just continuity in history. But
Donna Troy could always take up the
no, I wouldn't. I would never want to see the original sidekicks go back again. But
no, I mean take up the role of Wonder Woman.
But I don't see it because I kind of see what they're doing with her, more of the cosmic storyline with her than a Wonder Woman. I wouldn't want to see her because it would almost be false for her to take up the mantle of Wonder Woman.
Kind of be grounded again.
Yeah, the way they're doing her now, it's kind of she's more of a omnipotent character.
I wouldn't want to see Dick Grayson ever become Batman.
Yeah. I don't think he could. As much as I like, he's the perfect Nightwing. Well, but no matter what, he can never be Batman. It's just he's gotten out of the shadow too much for him to come back and to take up that role. I think would really be a hindrance to his character.
I do too.
I could see him taking over a leadership role like Batman. As in years to come when Bruce Wayne would retire, but he wouldn't become Batman.
Take up the mantle.
He would be more, as in if they're looking for substitutes for the big three, he would be there as Nightwing, but with the behind the scenes, ultimate strategist, guy pulling the strings, but not as Batman. He wouldn't ever take that up. I agree,
and that's why maybe it's just me, but whenever I'd see posts about maybe Dick could finally take on the role of Batman, it's like, why? To me, that would be a huge step backwards for that character because he's beyond Batman now from where he is, from his growing experience.
And I mean, he's so, that scene with Batman where the satellite is talking to Batman and basically saying, I'm going to go kill the one person that you do care about. So, I mean, and Superboy really saves his life. I mean, he comes flying in when Superboy of Earth Prime goes after Dick Grayson. And it's like, it's interesting that his character has really been looked at way back earlier when Superman of Earth 2, when Batman asked him, well, how did Dick Grayson turn out to be in your world?
Is he different?
Yeah, is he different? And he couldn't provide an answer. He said, was he bad? Did he go bad or whatever he said? He's like, no, he's a good man. And that's so central to Batman as a character.
Well, because even Earth 2 or Superman of Earth 2 brought that back to Alex. If maybe we're not doing the right thing,
right?
Exactly. Dick Grayson, he doesn't change. Not everybody's going to be better. That's why, kind of in that issue, what was it, 3? I think it was.
I think 2 or 3, yeah.
Where 3, he was asking the questions about what's this Earth 2 all about. Yes, he was kind of assessing the situation, but at the same time, I think the thing that really pushed him over the edge of I can't side with you was the whole Dick Grayson's not going to be any better off than where he is now.
We did get one voice comment. It's from was it Wayne Cordova? That's his last name, right? The
Geek Pastor.
Yep.
Cordova.
Hey, Comic Geeks, what's up? This is Wayne Cordova, the Geek Pastor on the forums and from the Geek Pastor podcast and stuff. Man, just wanted to say, Infinite Crisis number 6, wow. Didn't see a lot of this stuff coming. It was really cool, though, really entertaining. Some of the finer moments, I think, were the new Blue Beetle, Jaime, hanging out with everybody in the original, well, not the original, but Ted Kord's Blue Beetle vehicle. And I just thought that was just really cool, especially when he's like, I don't even know what the hell I got here. Some kind of scarab crawled into me and put this suit on me, and now I'm in space with Batman looking for an invisible satellite. I mean, like, quotes like that were just priceless. And then we've got, just some of the interaction that Superman 1 from Earth 1 and Superman Earth 2 had, just with Superman from Earth 2 just really kind of admitting that he made a horrible mistake, and the splash pages with all the different Earths on them, that was really cool. Seeing the Tangent Universe pop up. A lot of things were really neat. A lot of things that I really didn't get was, I'm assuming that in Infinite Crisis 5, that was Barry Allen that popped out. No appearance at all from him in Infinite Crisis 6, so I wonder if he just went right back where he was after that. And honestly, just kind of going all the way through and taking a look at the role that Connor had at the end of this, I think, if there was any superhero death that kind of, I guess outside of, Blue Beetles, that really kind of meant something in this whole thing, it was definitely Connor's, and I saw it coming a mile away, and the spoilers were actually up in the last couple issues of, like, Superman, and if you read Teen Titans before you read Infinite Crisis 6, you knew that was definitely coming. And I don't know who couldn't see Connor's death coming after the Teen Titans annual. But if you're going to go, man, that's a great way to go. Just with the idea of all this stuff, the whole story, the redemption of Connor Kent, after kind of going psycho on the Teen Titans, and everybody really backing him up earlier in Infinite Crisis. It was just a really neat way to just see him go. And I think it was just perfect Connor when in the second to last page, Cassie's saying, "You saved the Earth, you saved everyone," and then his last words were, "I know, Cass. Isn't it cool?" That's perfect. That's Connor to a T. Just think of how cool it was to be able to save the Earth, and after being such an up and down kind of character, where I loved this guy from the very beginning and all that. It was just really cool just to see it end this way, if it ends at all. You never know with DC. But if it does stick, this is a good way for it, to stick. I'd say I give a thumbs up to Infinite Crisis 6. Definitely a step up from number 5. And it seems that, number 7's probably just going to be another kind of, clean up the house kind of situation, because we still have 2 Supermen. Don't know what happens with 1 year later with these guys, so, we'll see what happens there. And really excited about New Earth and what that really means. So, anyway, guys, keep up the great work. I love the Infinite Crisis podcasts, and hopefully you guys will be doing this for Civil War as that begins too. Once again, man, Wayne Cordova, the Geek Pastor, signing off. Thanks a lot, guys. Do great.
I'm not quite sure of his URL. I don't think it's geekpastor.com, but I know you can get him off of iTunes. Wayne Cordova has his own podcast, and he's been a supporter of our show.
Isn't it on there?
Oh, yeah, probably is. Let me read this real quick off the forum, and then Brian A. Seals wrote, because I just noticed the scene myself. He goes, "You know what? I just think I found a little mistake. On page 30, Superboy punches at Superboy Prime with his right hand. Prime catches the fist. Next panel, Superboy Prime crushes the hand, but if you look at where the thumb and fingers are, it's clearly the left hand. And then on the final page, Superboy is once again missing his right. Because he just thought it was funny. And it does kind of look that way on that scene. It looks like he's punching with his right. His left hand's getting squished. And or is he twisting it? Oh, I don't know. No, I don't know. That's just...
That's a weird twist if that's what he did.
Yeah, a little slip.
Wayne's webpage is geekpastor.blogspot.com.
There you go.
I was surprised at how big the OMAC satellite actually was. I didn't imagine something that's like a space station.
It's freaking Death Star.
Yeah.
That's no moon.
That's no moon.
Somebody called it. I don't know who it is on the forum, but somebody called when Alexander Luthor was looking for the perfect Earth, and they were saying, "What if Earth Prime is the perfect Earth, which is technically the Earth that we live on as readers of the comic books?" And there it is. Sure enough, Alexander Luthor is looking for. He says, "Earth Prime, where are you?" And then you see the hands reaching out, and it's sort of indicative of. It's a panel from Animal Man where there's this one Panimal.
Is that with the coyote?
No, it's later on where Buddy Baker says, "I can see you." He goes, "I can see you," and the "you" is on a full page splash page of him looking out at us, and that's very similar to what Alexander Luthor is doing here. And it's now he is looking at a field of Earth, so you can also say, well, he's technically looking at Earth, but obviously they are very much making it that he's trying to reach out to us, which I thought was kind of cool.
Well, let me Superboy Prime. Now he's susceptible to kryptonite.
Yeah, but it probably has to be kryptonite from Earth Prime.
Well, but he's not susceptible to magic, or is that just since
he should be
because when Black Adam's bashing him, but he said it tickles. So that's why I was kind of like, does magic?
Maybe it's because it's not magic from his Earth.
Well, it's also he's not using magic there. He's him punching him isn't using his magic.
Wait, because he has here the magic. The magic hurts.
Okay. But then isn't that when his eyes start to go red and then he says it tickles? Yeah. So that's almost when I was...
Yeah. Actually, it tickles. So I didn't know...
That's almost when I was thinking whoever is controlling him was taking over.
Because he's hitting him with, looks like he's trying to hit him with the magic thunderbolt.
Controlling Superboy.
Yeah. But at this point, he's probably so powerful that...
Because that armor is a conductor for the yellow sun?
Yeah, it was like a collector. It was collecting the...
And that's the thing that I really, 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 really want it to be just that Superboy Prime and Alexander Luthor went nuts. I don't want like an Anti-Monitor, a fraction of Anti-Monitor being in him and anything like that. You know what I mean? Because it just...
Oh, no, I don't want that either, but there's got to be somebody in the background pulling the strings.
I'm still not convinced. I kind of don't understand why they threw Mongol there in the first issue. And they're making the figure, which was kind of I'm not saying he's going to turn out to be the big bad in issue 7, but still, was he really that important that you had to do an action figure of? Yeah. Because of the first issue where you saw him for a couple of panels, unless it's a throwback to the old one issue or two where it's Superman's birthday and then Wonder Woman. And
that's the Alan Moore annuals that they did.
Okay.
Something for the Man Who Has Everything or something like that.
Yeah, because they did the Justice League Unlimited episode, which is one of their best.
And actually that leads all up right into the Green Lantern, which I had a problem with. But he used the same thing. They use his son uses that flower, and then Ollie and Hal get zapped with it, and it's a good issue. It's a good episode. And that Alan Moore annual is good too, but I agree with you. Mongol definitely wasn't big enough to do his own figure for, unless they just didn't want to put any other figures out for fear of
giving something away.
Especially if they did a Superboy Prime figure in the whole Anti-Monitor armor.
I would like to see a issue 6 version of the Psycho Pirate.
Jeez, a headless variant.
Yes.
Hey, by the way, I just have to interrupt. I'm just looking at Yahoo, and they have a flashing news break. 14 whooping cranes were spotted in Chicago Park. So that was apparently important enough to put on the homepage of Yahoo.
Whoop whoop.
What's that have to do with anything?
It has nothing to do with anything.
That means it's hunting season, boys.
There were some interesting little things here and there. Swamp Thing's hand on one of these issues. Looks like Swamp Thing came over from the Vertigo universe. They have Stanley and the monster. All this is that Stonehenge sequence.
Stan Lee.
Yeah.
Stanley and the monster. What else?
Now the people with magic, they're still powerless?
No, they there's a new that was in that day of Vengeance.
The special?
Special that there's a new age of magic.
So that takes place after this?
No, that takes place before this.
Okay, because I thought they were trying to bring back the Spectre to get their powers back.
No, I thought they were just doing it to. They say here our spiritual powers have been altered and dampened due to his rampage, but it's over. He's been bound to a new host. They want to summon him for help. Actually, before the ninth age, it says before the ninth age of magic will end before, or it will end before it's even begun. That's kind of also a throwback to the old Crisis where all the magic people came, and actually Spectre led the charge against the anti-monitor with the magicians, all the magicians. So it's kind of, I think it's kind of like an homage to that.
Who was my one question is who is the guy? It's the panel right next to Black Orchid. Kind of has like the old hat on. I could.
Where are you looking? What?
I'm not even asking you because you're not going to have any idea.
Oh, I'm just curious.
I think it's
Way to kick him in the balls.
I think it's one of the Teen Titans villain, like Mr. Twister or something like that. That's what it looks like from like their first ever appearance.
Give me the red. No, the blue. Right foot blue.
Left foot red.
Oh,
Either that or his first name's TT.
that's what it looks like, but I couldn't tell you if that's really him.
Okay, I was wondering, Murd, if you're listening, tell me who that is, please.
Yeah, because they pulled out all the.
Yeah, because I was having trouble with some of these guys going, okay, yeah, I know who that is, know who that is. I love the fact they had Stanley as monster. That was kind of cool. And a little Clarion the Witch Boy up there.
Yeah, there's Baron Winters in the main panel up top. There's a guy with a white cloak all the way to the right, and that looks like Baron Winters.
Night Force.
Yeah, Marv Wolfman and Gene Colan. Who is that? Look to the left. It looks like the guy has a bag on his head, like the unknown comedian is helping to fight.
What are you doing over there?
I didn't know what the hell. I think I was watching.
Jesus
Christ. On the top page there?
Yeah, on the top panel. Looks got like a bag on his head, or is that the Scarecrow guy or not the Scarecrow? There was one character in Day of Vengeance that did sort of have a bag on his head or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
They pulled out all the stops.
Yep.
Well, they said in the first Crisis Counseling it's going to affect everybody in the DC universe.
Then we have
affected Psycho Pirate.
Yeah, I'll say.
I love the.
You guys keep baiting me there.
We're waiting for the last 5 minutes so you can go.
Oh no, I'll be honest with you. There's not going to be a tirade. You got. My mission is done. I've gotten you guys all to think about it. As soon as you saw it, there's been threads on the board there going, can't wait till he goes. No, I'm not going to go off on it because you all know how I feel.
I'll tell you what. Of all the deaths so far in this series, that was my favorite, and I'll tell you why. Because sometimes when somebody is that powerful, like Black Adam, I want to see that. I want to see him just like flick, and he just like pokes his eyes, boom, Psychopat's head explodes. Like that's the way it should be. Every once in a while, the good guy or the bad. It's like that's the one thing in comics that drives me nuts. Like, okay, one issue, Spider-Man will get beaten up by the Power Pack, but then the next issue, he'll take down like in
the Juggernaut, bitch.
In Secret Wars, like he defeats like the entire X-Men all by himself, but like in the next issue, some 2-bit criminal defeats Spider-Man. So it's like there's such inconsistency there, and it's like here you got a guy that's so powerful, you just want him to just go, okay, I'm gonna just kill you now, and that's it. It's over. He doesn't even break a sweat. He just puts his hand out, and it also for the Black Adam character, if you're reading JSA, for a while he was good, then he went bad. So then you weren't sure. Well, could he become good again? You know, because he was good for a while and then he was bad. Maybe they'll bring him back. Maybe he was tied up for a while and now he's going to be a hero. Maybe. And then in one page, nope, Black Adam's going to be a bad guy from now on. And it's like, that's cool. I like that. It's like now there's no gray line at it. You've written it. It's clear as day.
There still is a gray because I've never thought Black Adam has gone bad.
I see him more as gray as well. Only because
even because I mean it's one of those and we're gonna go off on a whole different tirade here
Bring it, baby.
Away from I'm not talking. I'm talking about Black Adam. We go away from Infinite Crisis, but what they've done to him in JSA, I feel, is what they did with Doctor Doom, where they made him. Doctor Doom is basically a bad guy, but there are at times when he realizes he has to work with the good guys, and there's been times where he has for the greater good, and I just feel that Black Adam saw what he had to do, saw that the country he has basically taken over was in a bad way. He came in, restored order, restored justice, even though he did it through means and ways that people on the outside found wrong and the JSA themselves found wrong. Still, when the JSA went and tried to free that country, or supposedly free that country didn't want to be freed because they wanted Black Adam's rule. They were throwing stuff at the JSA saying, leave, you don't represent us, you're not, he was here for us, he freed us from that, so I don't see him as a bad guy. He's more of a gray area. I mean, he sided with Luthor and them, where they tried to bring the whole Villains United together. But he's more of a out for his own good and the good of his country. And I'm not gonna say anything because it was a choice they made. As far as the violence went, I felt it would have been just as interesting off panel had they done the same thing. He could have easily have killed him off panel. You didn't have to see the eyeballs and the brain matter and all that goop.
I like how
this is definitely gore.
The panel below
much more than the Blue Beetle.
Where Power Girl asks, "Was that necessary?" And you can see the mask is still, his fingers are still through the mask, and with his nice response of "Absolutely."
Well, yeah, and to him that would be because it's that's his way of dealing with it. It's like
The other thing too is where you guys are talking about he was in the JSA, he was trying to be accepted as an equal to the JSA, and then he gets wrapped up into Alexander Luthor's Villains United team, the society, and they betrayed him. So now he doesn't fit in anywhere, and it's going to be his role in 52 is going to be really interesting.
Yeah,
because he's going to be everywhere. So that's going to be, I can't wait for that myself. And I think Power Girl's question is actually, I think it's interesting. It doesn't seem very much like she's disagreeing with it. She's just, it's kind of like, the other thing you could look at it too, if you want to get real metatextual, is maybe your whole argument about violence and stuff like that is summed up right there by the violence and having someone say, is it absolutely necessary?
Jeff Jones must have heard your original rant.
No, I mean, I'm sure that's not it.
That's why it was late. They had to put it in 2 weeks.
But if you think
we gotta please the shiznit pimp.
If you think about what they're trying to talk about in this whole series, about violence, about where they've taken Superman and Batman with breaking their back, that is a fundamental question.
Violence can be used for good.
And I do kind of address that in the episode we put up today.
Do you? Oh, okay.
Yeah, we kind of go back to that, and I thought it was kind of interesting that in a story that he is putting he's putting out the fact that they want to change the world because it's gotten too dark. The fact that most a lot of people from that world trying to make our world better have resorted or have gone and used ultra violence even more so than anything you see in the current DC universe.
I love the Martian Manhunter bit on the next page where he's like, I'm Mars' sole survivor. Superboy tried to zap him with the heat vision, and he's like, there's a reason for that. Boom, punches him out. It's just awesome. In 3 panels, he's characterized. It's just such great characterization. The little Green Arrow quip where he says, brave and the bold, huh? Or whatever that is. That was kind of fun.
Because they're bringing that series back, right?
Yeah.
They've been trying to. I wonder if it almost was supposed to be done by this point, but yeah, they are. Mark Waid is trying to do, and it seems like it's going to be a whole Marvel team up kind of thing. The other interesting thing that somebody I think it's Equinox on the forum just pointed out. If you look at that double page spread again of all the Earths, I think it's 5 and 6, where Alexander Luthor picks the two Earths, where he says this one is a possibility, and this one. If you add up Earth 154 and Earth 462, you get Earth 616. The Marvel Universe is Earth 616.
Okay.
Alan Moore named the Marvel Universe that we all know is known as Earth 616.
What, in the DC universe?
No, in the Marvel Universe.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I don't think you've ever. I think the only time it's ever come up is in that Captain Britain trade, that story that Alan Moore did with Alan Davis. So even in one of the official handbooks, they list all these Earths, and although they don't call it by Earth, blah 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 blah, in the actual comics, it's referenced that way as far as informational and organizational things, So I don't understand I don't remember the reasoning why Alan Moore picked 616, but one of his characters mentions Earth 616. That's the main Marvel universe. So it's funny that, and he pointed it out, because if you add it up, those two are 616 if you merge them. So I thought that was kind of funny.
It seems like it would have to be intentional.
Oh, of course. I mean, come on. So, but and then you could look at it another way. He said maybe these two Earths will make the perfect Earth. So is he saying? Oh, he's
saying
making the Marvel Earth. Oh.
Marvel's perfect.
But then he destroys it.
Yeah, that blows up.
You're just bitter.
No. So that was an interesting analysis. I love the Black Lightning bit with Mr. Terrific. That was awesome.
Was that ever revealed before?
What?
That machines don't detect him?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Which I thought, instead of just picking a random group of characters to go up to, they obviously made sense, like why he's picking.
Well, it's Batman.
Of course,
think he would just be, we'll bring you along,
right?
Well, Batman has always that goes back to the JSA Vice and Virtue, where he and Mr. Terrific got together and they kind of formed a friendship, or at least a common bond or respect for one another.
And then took his designs for the spheres.
Yeah.
And that,
for that contingency plan.
Yeah. For the but Mr. Terrific was like, wow, cool. That's neat that he liked my designs. But it also, I think, adds to the whole thing of restoring Batman to a person that's not afraid to call on help. Instead of doing it himself. Obviously, he knows he can't do it himself. But that bit with Black Lightning and Mr. Terrific, where he's saying, "Oh, you really call yourself Black Lightning?" He goes, "Hey, back when I started in this business, I was the only one of us around.
Back in his business."
I wanted to make sure everyone knew who they were dealing with. So I thought that was cool. There's just some really great moments in this issue.
There was a neat panel with Hal coming back for Batman at the end, which was really all set up by the Batman crossover into
but he calls him Jordan, though.
Yeah, he didn't call him Hal, but it's still they kind of buried the hatchet in that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, because every last several years, every time I write a Batman, usually calls Superman Kent. Unless he wants to be like a smartass kind of, then he'll go Clark kind of.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. He calls him Kent, and if he wants to piss him off, he calls him
Clark. Just has that.
Yeah.
Little.
Yeah, because he won't call him Cal. That's the whole thing. Everybody wants him to. He wants everybody to call him Cal.
Well, because he knows he has to stay human, or that's it. He'll take over the world or something. I don't know.
Who Bats?
No, Superman.
And
Batman knows that.
And that's Batman's way of keeping him
right.
Human, because Wonder Woman always calls him Cal.
Not so much keeping him human, but making sure that he remembers that he has a responsibility, or he has another persona that he has to keep. He's not Cal.
Kal-El of Krypton.
Yeah, he's Clark, and he's Clark Kent, and that's the way Batman kind of keeps him almost grounded, I would say. Because Kal-El is a person from another planet. Clark Kent is from Earth.
Some interesting things going on with Blue Beetle and Green Lantern. Little hints there that those two energy signatures or whatever are in opposition, so that should maybe play itself out later.
This question to Jamie before, but he apparently didn't have quite the knowledge that you do, or the free time. But with the previous Blue Beetles, Could they ever get the Scarab to work? That there's something special about this jabroni that he could get the armor out of it, or is it just?
Well, the first one the first one had the Scarab. The Dan Garrett had the Scarab, but the second one didn't.
Ted Kord.
No, he didn't have it.
I thought he had it, but he couldn't. Never worked.
Oh well, they mentioned that later, but before this series, he had it. Or did he have it? No, I thought it was lost. It was lost with the original Dan Garrett when he got buried in that island, and that's why he went the Batman/Spider-Man route of creating the whole persona of the new, to use all the gadgets and things like that. But then I don't know. So I don't know if it was in a story or not that they actually found the Scarab again, and then they decided to say that Ted Kord could just never work it. You know, I'm not quite sure what the timeline is.
Well, the original Blue Beetles, what did it do for him? Because I remember he had it in Crisis, but
made him super strong.
Okay, but wasn't it something that he had to get hurt in order to be able to use it?
No.
Which is why they pulled him out of there?
In the original Crisis?
Yeah.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. That was actually, I think they said that was actually a mistake. They mentioned the shadow demons were going after him, but they would blow up every time they touch him because he had the Scarab. But he should not have had the Scarab, because that character before the Crisis, when he was in the Charlton line of comics, he didn't have the Scarab. He was just a regular guy. So when they brought him into the Crisis, I think they pretty much said that was a little bit of a mistake, that he should not have had the Scarab.
But that wasn't Ted.
No, that was Ted.
That was Ted.
Yeah, that was Ted.
Okay. But the Scarab never really did anything special before, but now all of a sudden this guy, he's got the armor.
Yeah. So for some reason he can tap into it the way it was meant to be. I guess we'll find out.
You'll have to tell me about how that goes.
Anything else? No Flash this issue. I guess we'll get that next issue.
That's one thing I must say I've been missing. Is some kind of a Flash presence.
I always miss when girls flash me. You know.
Well, you can never go wrong.
Yeah.
Well, almost never.
Yes. Let's clarify.
If Jamie's flashing you, don't.
Well,
look.
he said girls,
I
but
said girls.
Well,
sometimes that's not. We won't.
You just shut up.
That's
Yeah, exactly.
my grandmother flashes you. No, you don't want to see that.
Oh my
I
lord!
was thinking of one episode of the Man Show where they did that experiment and gave some girl a hairy chest, or like hair to put in her chest in Mardi Gras. People were going, like, take off your top, and she would lift up her top, and all of a sudden it was like a crowd of hundreds of people. They just stopped because they didn't know what to make of it. It was boobs with a huge hairy chest.
No, I'll give it a good issue. It was a step up, I thought, from 5. And looking forward to the next one. Looking forward to finishing it
Yeah,
up.
I can't believe we're almost at the end.
This is it, man. This has been
Finally. Too much tension, man. It's been a freaking year we've been talking about this. God.
More than a year.
I have to say, I'm at the point now where I'm looking forward to Civil War to pick up so we can start shifting gears.
Yeah.
I almost feel like we're talking this topic to death.
Yeah,
Which I'm enjoying it, but it's just like,
and
There's
you
a
know
lot
what?
to talk about.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, the Marvel Universe does not have the layers of different versions of characters like this does in history, and
Thank God.
it doesn't have another Crisis to go off of. I mean, what they're doing is completely different. It's still a thematic kind of event, but it's going to be quite different.
but
It's going to be an interesting conversation because it's more about what you really believe in as opposed to
Right.
talking about the actual things.
and it's something you said before that as I'm reading snippets to get ready for the Civil War is, you know,
What's that? Your agent calling?
nah,
you?
that's just someone from work. It's just that, you know, Marvel could never have a Crisis storyline, but then the DC could never have a Civil War like what Marvel's doing, just because of the way their characters are set up. And Jesus Christ, you think if I'd hang up on somebody, they wouldn't call me back right away?
So unprofessional.
Yeah, what can I say? I'm off the clock. But yeah,
one of the criticisms I see out there, and again, you know, obviously I'm a DC guy, but is that with the 1 year, as far as the 1 year later thing is concerned, they're like, I see two things. Either the first one is, oh God, another event 1 year later, da da da, and it's like, No, it's not an event. It's and then the other thing is, they're kind of normal, and it's like, well, yeah, isn't that, if you've been bitching that the past year's been about Infinite Crisis, they're going back to regular storytelling now. You can just enjoy your comics again. So it's kind of interesting that because we're Marvel's about to gear up to be crossover heaven. It's there are books that you can read that don't have it affecting it, but for the ones that are affecting it, it's like 3 or 4 months worth of stuff. So
it seems
we're
that
about ready to jump into some Civil War goodness.
Maybe it's kind.
Can't wait.
I'm kind of getting the impression there's a lot of prologue stuff to Civil War, where maybe it's just because they organize it differently in DC that there wasn't so much prologue stuff to get. But there was. I mean, I know there was those miniseries.
What are you talking about? Good Lord, it's been going on for almost 5 years. A prologue for this.
Exactly. But you didn't get that with DC. You could follow along, and this is stuff.
Well, with DC, you didn't realize it until maybe a year or two ago that it was there, because they were working it so much. And when I say 5 years, I'm not really kidding. I mean, there's been stuff.
Well, there shall come a crisis.
Yeah, at least 2 to 3.
It's like 2-3 years.
2-3 years. That it has been. They've been working towards it, and even before that, there was stuff that John was putting into stories here and there, and other writers that they've drawn on to make this. So this has been a bigger work in progress. Whereas with the Marvel, I think you're right. There's gonna be more books that will lead directly into Civil War that you'll probably want to read. Just to get that storyline or to catch up, where they're going to go with that story than there were for Crisis.
Very good.
All right.
Well, we'll see you next month.
Yep.
For the final episode
Conclusion.
of Infinite Crisis.